What is going on, college football fans? Chris Kennedy here, coming at you with another college football related video. And today I'm going to talk something a little different. I'm not talking recruiting, and I do want to give props to Alabama for picking up Emmanuel Henderson yesterday. That's a huge pickup for that 2022 class. I'm not going to talk coaching changes or controversies surrounding a university, and I'm not going to talk expectations or predictions for any one team in 2021. Today, I'm going to talk about something that requires engagement from you guys. And it's you as a fan of your team. What is your most memorable season? Is there one season that stands out to you? Maybe it involves a national championship. Maybe it doesn't. Me as an Alabama fan, I've been around for 7 Alabama national championships. And you might think that my most memorable season would include one of those years, but it doesn't. I'll explain why. But before I do that, go ahead, please like and subscribe to my videos. I love talking college football, could talk it all day really, and any type of support you could give me would be greatly appreciated. So, growing up an Alabama fan, I've been a fan since 1991. First game I watched was the Blockbuster Bowl versus Colorado. Bama got the win. They went 11-1 on that season. And then the next year, they won a national championship. So at a young age, I expected national championships from Alabama. Thought they were easy to get. That's all I knew. And then I quickly realized that was not the case. It was 16 years before Bama would get another national championship. And in that time, there were some dark years. Make no mistake about it. I mean, they were good in the, from 93 to 96 when Gene Stallings was there, but they were put on probation after Antonio Langham was investigated by the NCAA, found out that he signed with an NFL agent after the national championship game, but then came back to play, and Alabama was ruled ineligible for all those games that he played in, put on 2 years probation, reduction in scholarship. Gene Stallings resigns, and in comes Mike DuBose. Mike DuBose, the team was terrible in 97, a little bit better in 1998. In 1999, got an SEC championship, ended Florida's 30-something game home win streak, beat them again in the SEC championship game. And expectations were high in 2000, but Alabama fell flat on their face. Then they were put on probation again. Dennis Franchione comes in, another pretty good coach. Had a great year in 2002, but bolted on the team for the Texas A&M job. And, I think he bolted because he knew Alabama was going to struggle. And, they hired Mike Price for about a week. Everybody, if you're an Alabama fan, knows what happened with Mike Price. And then in comes Mike Shula. And, they just weren't expected to be good. And they were terrible in 2003, 2004, not much better. But of all the seasons that stands out to me as an Alabama fan, and maybe the season that but got the most amount of excitement and anticipation and just looking forward to the next week, it was that 2005 season. And I'm going to explain why. Now, Alabama wasn't a great team. I mean, they ended up going 10-2. It was they had a good season. But the reason it was special is because it signified to the rest of college football that, remember Alabama? You remember how great they are? Well, they're back. And like I said, they weren't great, but they were winning games and they were beating teams that they had struggled to beat in previous years. They had lots of problems against Tennessee. They could not beat LSU. They could not beat Auburn. They could not beat Arkansas. And I remember thinking this might be the team that could get it done. They gave me hope because they were winning these games and they were not winning them by landslides. There was a lot of close wins in there, but then there were some blowouts that just really made you feel good if you were a Bama fan. There's just a lot of moments in that season. The Southern Miss game when Tyrone Prothro made that miraculous catch. He had pinned the ball between the defender's helmet and his back, maintained possession. Bama was down in that game. They ended up coming back to win. Then they play Arkansas. They beat Arkansas and they struggled against Arkansas. Then in comes Florida Gators. Urban Meyer's first year in the SEC, and Bama absolutely waxed them. Just phenomenal. Tyrone Prothro had one heck of a game. Unfortunately, it turned out to be his last game in an Alabama uniform, his last game ever playing college football. And, just an emotional roller coaster in that game. Everybody was so excited. about how they played, but then the Tyrone Prothro injury just kind of put a damper on it. But I remember seeing the Sports Illustrated magazine, and in big red letters it said Bama is back, and it was a picture of Brody like throwing the football. And I just remember being so happy and so prideful that college football was once again talking about my team. They then go on. Jamie Christensen hits a last-second field goal to beat Ole Miss, and then the Tennessee game. And look, I know Bama has beaten Tennessee 14 years in a row. And if you're a young Alabama fan, you don't understand what that Tennessee game was like. I have not forgot about it. That 6-3 Tennessee-Bama game was one of my favorite games of all time. Just great defenses, big plays by both teams, and Roman Harper hitting the fullback as he caught that screen pass from Clausen, about to go into the end zone with just under 5 minutes left, causes a fumble, goes out the back of the end zone for a touchback. And Alabama didn't move the ball at all in the second half, but on 3rd and 8, Brody Croyle connected to DJ Hall, putting Alabama in field goal range, and just the electricity and the elation let off by that fan base when Jamie Christensen hit that kick with 18 seconds left to put Alabama up 6-3. I just remember listening to that stadium and thinking, man, we are back. Like, we have waited for this for so long. They then go on after that, and they had another, they beat Mississippi State and then went to overtime with LSU. Didn't win the game, but it was definitely an exciting game. And, they lost another one to Auburn. That was the down point. But even in the Cotton Bowl, Jamie Christensen hitting a 45-yard line drive kick. One of the ugliest field goal makes I've ever seen, but it got him the win 13-10. And they went 10-2. And I remember that season, getting so much as far as emotions go from me, maybe more so than any other season. Yes, there are games that stand out, like the 2008 Bama-Clemson game, the, obviously big games, the LSU game in 2012, the national championship game with Georgia. But that season collectively, just every single week, Bama was winning, but they were winning these close games. And we knew they weren't really at the level of Texas or USC, but they were giving us hope. And I think a lot of Bama fans, including me, felt that if Bama can get there, they can figure out a way to do it and get us that national championship. And, it all came crashing down. It didn't work out. But I just remember that season really standing out more than any others. And, you as a fan of your team, there's probably a season that stands out to you, and it might not include a national championship. It doesn't have to include a national championship. But that's why you keep watching even when your team is down, because you never know when that season's going to be, and you want to be a part of it. Let me ask you this. How do you think Tennessee fans are going to feel? What do you think that stadium is going to be like the first time Tennessee beats Bama in Neyland Stadium? What do you think that fan base is going to experience? Or what about Arkansas beating Alabama again? Or Arkansas beating a team that they've been getting waxed by for the last 10 years or 5 years or whatever it's been? Florida State getting back on the map. Miami, Nebraska. These teams all can turn it around just like that. If they get the right coach in place, they get a little bit momentum, and they get that fan base backing behind them. You want to be there for those moments. You really do, because that's what makes college football special. And in my opinion, what makes it more special over the NFL. There's a lot of pageantry. There's these 18-year-old kids going in front of 100,000 people, putting it on the line. These rivalries, some of these rivalries are 100 years old. That's the difference between the NFL and college, and why I'm such a big college fan. But you guys tell me, as a fan of your team, is there one season that stands out, and why? Why does it stand out? I appreciate you guys listening to this video. Like I said, it's kind of out of the norm from the other stuff. if you want to hear recruiting, if you want to hear stuff like that, I talk about that stuff sometimes, but there's a lot of other people that cover it better than me. This is just strictly me and you talking. Is there something that stands out to you as far as your favorite season? Thank you for listening to this video. I'll be back with another one soon, and you guys take care.